Your soul never wanted to stop loving. It just forgot how. But I'm telling you this, by the time this life is over, the pain that once closed your heart will become the portal that reopens it. See, on tonight's show, we're talking about healing the trauma of the past with love, but there's just one problem. No one ever taught us how. You would be surprised at how many people I meet who cannot summon love on command, who cannot get the feeling of love within their body, have it circulating within their body on command. It's like somewhere along the way, we make love exclusive. It becomes just for family members, just for relatives, just for close friends. But the problem is that even our friends, family, close family, every single person that we're directing love toward, spouses, even they have to be treating us just right in order for us to actually access and call forward that feeling. So if love is so far removed from us in our day-to-day life, how then can we live by love and allow it to heal our past, present, and future? It's an issue. It's an issue because if we cannot love, if we cannot summon its energy, that means we cannot allow it to direct us. Which means that even if we manage through therapy or some other modality to work through our issues of the past, we have no assurance that once the next painful event happens, the next traumatic event happens, we'll have no assurance that we have our path forward. We talk about healing from trauma, but the problem is that we really don't have a systematic way to do that ourselves. And so tonight is our night to change that. Because if you're one of those people who has a difficult time tuning into the frequency of love, and by love, I mean the end of separation, if you're one of those people who has a difficult time summoning the energy of love within your physical being and allowing it to direct your course, tonight's show is for you. Because when people say that God is love, that's not just a cool slogan, it's the truth. And so if we got the kind of love that comes and goes, that means we got the kind of relationship with God that comes and goes. So I'm talking about, when I say God, I'm talking about the basic basis of reality, the fabric of reality. And if we got the kind of relationship with reality that comes and goes, that would by definition make us delusional. We don't want to do that. So you understand that when we talk about healing the trauma of the past, we're talking about so much more than just moving on from what has happened. We're talking about stepping into destiny fully, stepping into divine heritage fully, stepping into transformation fully. And let's allow tonight, for those who have felt so separate from love, let's allow tonight to be the first step. And so, if you're ready to live free beyond fear, welcome here. I'm Dr. Shawn, and I believe you do not need years to heal. You just need one real breakthrough. That's why I invented Transcendent Psychology, and I tested in the real world, on real people, on my game show, Countdown to Breakthrough, the only game show that heals your soul. Right now, you're on the Breakthrough Live, where we break down the science of healing so that you get your own breakthrough live. On today's show, we're talking about not knowing how to heal the trauma of the past because we're disconnected from the source of all healing. That source of all healing we simply call love. And so as we move through tonight, I want to ensure that the memories of the past, the most painful experiences, we're going to be revisiting those. Only this time, we're going to allow those memories to teach us, to provide us with their lessons. We will be opening up the phone calls later on tonight. For right now, let me jump into the chat. Sublime. Hey, Dr. Shawn. Sublime. Welcome in. Welcome in. Twin. Good evening, everyone. Twin is saying, welcome in. Welcome in. Folks, our first order of business is to head to the clip. I want to show you a clip, Countdown to Breakthrough, that's actually going to set up our conversation for the evening. Let's go ahead and jump to that right now. To find out, I'm testing a new mind game on love and light on strangers in Atlanta. I have just 7 minutes to heal these players' relationships in broad daylight. But the stakes are even higher, because in a world that thinks that love is just an emotion, if I can't help these players discover their highest capacity for transformation, they may never get another chance. Maybe that's why I'm nervous about today. Because today's mind game is so intimate, it will ask more of me than any other mind game before. Feeling my heart tremble, I take a moment before the day starts. Today's particular challenge is making sure that we walk in the love we're trying to get people in touch of. Right? We want to be able to walk in the love that we're trying to get people to taste for themselves. And knowing that when we do, the fear, the trepidation, the anxiety, all that stuff fades and recedes. And to walk it, to live it, and to stay in it is the gift of today. And also its challenge. And so as we go and move and find people, we need to make sure that we keep that in mind. Matter of fact, there goes a person right there. See, I want to show people that love lights the way in every relationship. But even deeper than that, I want to know that I can walk in love myself. Okay, there we are. It was that moment for me, right? We're hitting the streets. We got the, we got the cameras out, and we're racing through, and trying to sell people on why they should stop and take a moment to be on this show. And I had never done any sort of street therapy before, you know what I'm saying? And so it was like the only way that this is going to work is if I can access this divine dimension and walk with it. It's the only way that people would even be able to resonate with me. But you can't play with it. You can't act your way through the frequency of love. You can't pretend with this. And I think a lot of time we throw around the word love, and it's really like we're not being honest about what it is, not really surrendering to that deeper dimension. And so when life's inevitable challenges arrive at our doorstep, somehow we're unprepared because we forgot the armament of God. We forgot the ultimate solution. And the ultimate solution is a frequency. One of the beautiful things about going on the street and doing this work is immediately you will be able to tell if you are in frequency or out of it. The beautiful part is that once you can access this dimension of love, it's timeless, which means that you can use it to process, to heal old memories, old relationships, old patterns of thinking, old patterns of feeling. That once we understand that love is an energy source, a sacred energy source, that we can actually connect with and allow it to flow through us, all of a sudden it changes everything. I have a odd relationship with people who talk about, people will say words like, love. They'll say phrases like love is the highest frequency. And on one level, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's such a sacred reminder. And on another level, I'm kind of like, what you mean when you say love, though? See, because if we are talking about anything other than the real deal, I don't need it. I want the real deal. How do people in our culture talk? People, you will literally hear people say, what's love got to do with paying the bills? Love's got to do with everything. And when we move with that love, I'm telling you, our relationship with the past completely changes. And so, I like teaching from principles. So let's get to it. When we talk about love, I believe it's important to have our definitions clear. When I say love, I'm talking about oneness. I'm talking about the end of separation. And so, what do we need to know? We need to know that love is the natural state of the soul. I'll never forget this. This is a circle. If you ever heard the phrase, behold eternity, that the circle itself, let me see if I can make sure I get this out the light, that the circle itself represents no beginning, no ending. It's continuous. It is eternity itself. Behold the soul. What I'm telling you is that when I say love is oneness, I'm saying that love is the natural state of the soul. It's the natural state of who you are. We need to understand that one principle, that love is the natural state of who you are. And so we only stop feeling love when the soul goes into protection mode, when there is a split, what we call when there is separation. The sense that this side is me and this other side is not me. Once I define certain things as me and other things as not me, now I have to go on the defense against this hostile world that exists outside and away from me. I have to protect myself. The very fact that I've divided myself psychologically and often psychosomatically, which is to say, I feel separate from everything else in existence. Once that happens, now I have something to protect. There's a little me. I put this in quotes. There's a little tiny me that I now have to protect from hostile invaders. The problem is that this doesn't start when you're 30. It starts when you're 3. If the appropriate protocols are not put in place, if the appropriate explanations are not put in place as to the nature of reality. Now, who you know? Teaching 3-year-olds that they are the full totality, the full context of experience, not just a small part of it. Sure, the 3-year-old does need to develop a certain ego that can help it avoid fires and furnaces and different things, right? We understand that. But what happens is that we fail to teach the 3-year-old at any time, once they know not to touch the fire, that it is actually okay to touch the fire of the soul and to burn up your delusions in it. That's the part we somehow ain't teaching. Forget the 3-year-old, the 30-year-old. And so the principle is that the soul now needs the soul, which is the total, the totality, love being the full nature of the soul now needs protection when the soul gets into separation. So we lose touch. This notion of separation is the reason that we lose touch with reality in the first place, lose touch with the fabric of existence in the first place, lose touch with love in the first place. So once you lose touch with love, how are you going to redeploy or use love later in order to heal yourself? It would be impossible. It would frankly be impossible. So our principle is this, that love is the original nature of the soul. So the principle is that love is the original nature of the soul. What's the pattern? What's the pattern we're experiencing here? Love is the original nature of the soul, but the pattern is that separation. The pattern is that separation made you forget. Love is the original nature of the soul. That is our principle. But the pattern, the reason that recalling love on command is such an issue, the reason that people have no way or no idea as to how to actually heal from their own past is because this sense of separation, which made the past a problem in the first place, also made you forget original nature. That's the pattern. That once you have separation, once you have a me and a not me, once you saying they not like us, oh, I know it's culturally meaningful. I love K Dot too. But once you say they not like us, you've made a they, a distinction between the you, the they, the me, the not me. You have that separation again. And though it may build you an alliance in the short term, and alliances are necessary, that's wonderful. Alliances are necessary at a relativistic human plane of existence. But is it worth dwelling in illusion forever? I like a great alliance too, but I also want to understand that the alliance, the tribe that I'm building, the so-called enemies that I have are but variations of myself. If I do not remember that, then guess what? I create separation. The separation makes me forget love, and guess who suffers? Maybe them, but definitely me. That's an issue because now we're removed from the original nature of the soul. You've lost touch with yourself. Why? Because you've forgotten. Why? Because you created the separation. Are you understanding the principle and the pattern? Okay, so we're understanding the principle and the pattern. The question now is, what's the path forward? What's the path forward? So as I erase this joint, we need to understand what that path forward is. So here we go. Behold the soul, and understand that we can actually collapse separation by retraining the spirit to see love everywhere. We can actually collapse separation by retraining the spirit, consciousness, our independent or seemingly independent focal point of consciousness, our attention, By learning to see love everywhere, by taking love, which we understand to be complete, and instead of having this moment of separation, which is created based on the meaning we are giving to seemingly external phenomena, we can actually retrain our spirit to enter back into this world of me and not me. And just by adjusting the way that we look, just adjusting the way that we perceive reality itself, we can allow this entire field of separation to dissolve back into the totalizing experience of love. We can re-achieve a unity of experience, return to oneness, return to God. That is what this is. This outer layer is the reabsorption of human consciousness back into the divine unified field of love. In order to do this, we simply need to retrain perception. And that's what we're going to do tonight. That's what we're going to do tonight, is retrain our perception itself. You're going to see this when we work with caller. Our caller for the evening and you'll understand exactly how important this is, because we can't use something that we don't have clear access to. See, I'm not trying to rely on a kind of love that comes and goes, on a fleeting emotion. Yes, love can be felt. It is an emotion, but it's much more than that. If you get nothing else out of tonight, then understand that love is much more than an emotion. The emotion, you know what it's like? It's like a mirror. It's like a mirror, where you know how if you go and walk into a mirror, or rather walk into a bathroom, you see a reflection of yourself in the mirror. The reflection is not you. It is a reflection of you. In the same way, the emotion of love is not the total experience of love. It is merely a reflection of it. But that reflection better be there, because it means that the self is in the room. You understand? It means that you're in the room. If you ever walked into a restroom, saw a full-length mirror, and you didn't appear in it, you got a different problem. And so it is the same with love, that to be looking into a mirror and not be able to see yourself means that the self has not yet arrived. Reality doesn't do that. If the self is there, the mirror will reflect it. Similarly, if love is there, the emotional experience will reflect it. Love is bigger than the emotional experience, but that emotional experience is proof that the presence of God is with you. It is proof of your alignment that God, or we sometimes call God the self, that the self is in the building, it's in the room, it's in the atmosphere. That emotional experience of love is proof that you are in alignment with the divine. And so we don't discount it. We don't discount the emotional experience of love. In fact, we're going to use it. It'll be a part of how we change perception. We understand that the principle is that love is the natural state of the soul. But we also understand that the pattern is that separation restricts us from accessing the deeper dimension of self, from accessing love itself. And we understand that the path forward lies in collapsing the sense of separation by retraining the spirit or attention to see love everywhere, to imbue our reality with that emotional experience. Why? Because the emotional experience lets us know that we are back in alignment with the fundamental essence of reality itself. It's only taken me years to realize this. I don't know about y'all. It's only taken me years, perhaps lifetimes. It's only taken years and years, decades, to understand what it means when someone says God is love. When 1 John 4:16 says God is love, and whosoever abides in love abides in God. It took me years to understand that. And whatever the context, some people, whatever the context that those words were written in aside, to understand the truth of them now. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Twin. Okay. Sublime, what you got going on here, dude? Like you say, I'm seeing you with an emoji that's kind of like Sublime, I need you to articulate yourself. Yeah, Joanne, you're gonna have to I'm about to start calling you by your government. You know what I'm saying? Articulate yourself. What you mean? You saying scary, not let's see, hold on. Tobias twin, welcome in. He's saying good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. The other twin. And you also put the 444 in the chat. Excellent. Okay, Sublime. So what you talking about? Is this clear or is this not clear? I want to make sure that we're before I move on, I want to make sure that you're tapped in because we're going to need to understand what has been said in order to move on. So let me know what's the I've never seen this emoji before. I think you might have this might be a personal creation. It's kind of doing like a well I've never seen that before. Okay. Okay, so while you type that out, let me go ahead and continue on. Oh, yeah, that's right. By the way, if someone you love needs this, if someone you love needs to understand the power of love in facing their own past, what love actually is, and all the things that we're about to get into in the next 5 minutes, send them this video right now. Just go ahead and share it because it only took me decades to learn what this is all about. And this moment can change their life. It changed mine. It changed mine. So once you're seeing me in the streets running down on people, trying to get them to open up and do, you know what I'm saying? Like, why was I even out there? I should show y'all the behind the scenes joints where it's like there were so many times when I was like, what am I doing? I live in Austin. What am I doing in Atlanta? Running around the streets trying to get people to be on a show. Like, what am I doing? It was one of those moments where it was like, okay, only love can bring you here. Only love can bring you this to this place to do this activity. It doesn't make sense. Intellectually, it does not make sense. And still was one of the most profound experiences of my life. And it's almost like when you walk with love, somehow you're able to tap in and use it to reface your past, to face the future, to abide lovingly in the present. We talk about stepping out on faith, but what about stepping out on love? That if it is true that reality organizes for the whole, and that love is that eternal oneness, then when we join that love frequency, somehow we're moving with forces that we cannot understand. We begin to move with forces that we cannot understand for the benefit of people we may never meet. And the whole time it feels so good to do it. It's not even like it's a chore. It's like, oh no, this is the best thing that I can be doing with my time on the planet. Love has a utility. Tonight we're talking about healing. We're talking about dealing with the trauma of the past, processing it through this higher spiritual dimension. That's what transcendent psychology is all about. It's about putting consciousness, the one source, putting God back at the center of our emotional and psychological experience. When we do that, new options open up to us like Western science has never seen. New ways of putting meaning together. I believe you'll see what that looks like by the end of tonight. So yeah, definitely share this. Definitely share it. If you know somebody, you love somebody, you want to help them experience what love actually is, rather than just what someone's limited definition of it is based on a cultural upbringing that is unmoored to reality. So, matter of fact, y'all ever heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza? I want to show y'all something from him real quick. See if I can put this together. Here we go.
How can people better learn to love themselves? They have to practice feeling love. I mean, you cannot love unless you practice feeling it. I think if you practice feeling love, you get better at feeling love. And
Okay, so real quick, Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you haven't heard of the doc, like he runs those experiments too. And though he's one of the most sort of popular voices right now. What's interesting is that he's saying, listen, you got to practice feeling love. Well, if it's love, if it's something that everybody has, if you got it for your kids and your mom and everything else, like, why should anyone have to practice? Where's the practice at? If it's so easy, if it's just an emotion, where's the practice at? But he's letting you know, Dr. Spencer is letting you know that love is like a frequency. It's a groove. It's not so much that you would have to practice it, it's that you have to practice it given the cultural upbringing of the global culture right now, given the fact that we're teaching children how to develop their egos without teaching children how to develop a non-attachment to their egos. So yeah, in that context, yes, we know that love is the original nature of the soul, but in that context, the individual now needs to be taught how to practice love, how to feel it, practice feeling it until they become a master at it. Only once you have mastered the feeling, being able to summon it at will, can you allow it to direct your course. And I cannot say how important this is because in my journal the other day, I get these downloads, right, and I believe I posted it, or we posted it on the YouTube comments on the community tab, and it says how research demonstrates that what we desire, what we think we want, is conditioned by other people, right? Advertisements. People spend billions and billions and billions of dollars every single year in order to condition your thinking in the direction of their products and services. You understand? That's advertising. That's okay. It's only been around for hundreds of years. You dig what I'm saying? Like, fine. But when we talk about love, we're always talking about the unconditioned, which means the unconditional and the unconditionable. Because love is not conditioned, you cannot condition it. You cannot change it. No one can manipulate love. That's why I call it love as opposed to any other word, because once you feel it, you know it. And once you feel it, all of your other desires, all the things that you think you want, they pale in comparison. But we have to practice feeling that love in order to allow it to guide us. Otherwise, we are at the mercy of people who are seeking to direct our mind toward other agendas. And I'll keep it just that simple for right now. I'll keep it just that simple. Because once we understand that this habit, this practice of feeling love is actually just a habit of coming back into alignment with the divine, coming back, and if you don't like that word divine, coming back into reality, coming back into a place where we're no longer dwelling in illusion. We're no longer responding to the messages and the obligations set forth by other people, be it family, be it institutions, be it government, whatever it is. We're no longer responding just to that. We're not a product of environment, a product of history, a product of culture in that way anymore. At long last, we're able to enact and complete our purpose, our very reason for being born. Famous investor Ray Dalio says that reality is operationalizing for the whole. not for you. And when he says you, he means the individual, the person, the individual body, the person with a name. That reality is optimizing for the whole. Therefore, what I'm saying is that those who abide in love are already abiding in true reality. This is the way it goes. And so when we're talking about facing our past, we're talking about healing from trauma. To face that past from the position of the one who is clear, clarified in reality. It allows us to look at the old linkages, look at the old connections, look at the old patterns of meaning that we were formerly giving to circumstances, events, relationships of the past, and begin to see them for what they actually are. Yes, you need an example of this. And yes, when we open up the phone lines, that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you. That's exactly what I'm going to be showing you. Y'all hear that? I think can y- can y'all hear that? Oh shoot, you know what it is? Hold on. Oh, oh, you won't believe this, but Breakthrough Turtle is back. Okay, Breakthrough Turtle, welcome back, B. Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, I'm understanding what you're talking about every week, and actually, I'm getting good vibes. You've been bringing some heat these past few weeks. I'm excited to see what you got for us this week. You know what I'm saying? So, what? Okay, so you're saying it's something special, but a little different than it was last. Okay, let's see. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Breakthrough Turtle, he breaking open the shell. You know what I'm saying? He always gives us a little gift in here. Okay, good looking Breakthrough. Okay, all right. Okay, this one's a little longer. It says, "At first, you didn't mean that much to me, but now I know you're all I need. The world is so brand new to me now that I've found love." Music Soul Child. Let's Breakthrough Turtle. And he's sweet. I love first of all, I love this song. If you never heard Love from Music Soul Child, it's a banger. But let me read it one more time. At first, you didn't mean that much to me. Hmm. Hmm. Might that resonate with the idea we were just talking about of we throw love around like it's just a word, like it's divorced from we talk about love and potato chips. I love that for you. It's kind of the new phrase that people will throw around even when they really don't love that for you. You know what I'm saying? Like even when it's one of those words that people saying it's all love and it's really not. You know, it's like if humanity could only remember. Right now, this is the human race speaking. At first, you didn't mean that much to me. But watch the evolution of humanity through time. That Music Soul Child is a prophet, and he's showing that dimension of experience that human beings will one day travel to. From the current, at first you didn't mean that much to me, and however long it takes, if it's 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, eventually humanity will come to say, but now I know you're all I need. The world is so brand new to me now that I've found love. Shout out Music Soul Child. Shout out Breakthrough Turtle. Okay. Good looking, B. Good looking. In Saying, yes, yes. Twin saying breakthrough turtle. Other twin is saying breakthrough turtle. They got the turtles up. Put your turtles in. If you can do a turtle emoji like how twin and them just did, put the turtles in. Put them turtles in. Okay, okay. So Sublime, not seeing your reflection in the mirror. You said you said we have other problems. We don't see our reflection. Right, right, exactly. That's the old sort of vampire myth, right? That the vampires can't see the reflections in the mirror. And so the vampire is essentially a human parasite, you dig? And what I'm saying is that that's exactly what people become to each other when they're operating outside of the parameters of love. Speaking of which, one of the things that I find is when operating in this love sequence is this. The the most challenging aspect is I can no longer do things to get things, right? I can no longer do things to get things and feel good about it, right? I can't I can't work or sell something or do any I couldn't even if I wanted to I couldn't even go teach at a university again just to get whatever, a notoriety, a check, to get some sort of, exposure or whatever. I can't do things to get things because love will quickly let me know that, hey, this is out of frequency and it's poisonous to you. If you continue to operate in such a way as to not listen to me, I will drain your life force. I'll simply drain your life force. So to the point where I won't be able to get out of bed. You understand? Like that has been the biggest change for me over these past, I would say, 3 years. Is I can no longer do things to get things and like feel good about it. That's been the toughest. The But I say the toughest is what I'm saying is that that's the ego challenge, so to speak. That's the abiding in love is all I care about. But that also means being willing to give up all other dreams, all other visions. If they come, wonderful, but it means giving all that up. You can no longer do things to get things. So how many times, in business especially, do you get into relationships with people? You start establishing business relationships because you need something from them down the road. Maybe you're smart about it and you're like, okay, well, let me go ahead and get this relationship up and running, and over the next 5 years I'll be able to actually I'll pay into it now, but over the next 5 years this person can mean something to me, and we can end up building something out. I'm gonna start this relationship because I know where I want things to go. You feel me? I know where I want this relationship to go. So I'm going to start that now, not because I love this person, not because I love what they're doing, not because I love being with them or love doing the work of actually creating something with this person, but because I want, there's that word again, because I want what I perceive they could help me with down the line. Bro, people get married for this. People get married for what somebody can do for them. It, I will say this. If you call it a warning, that walking on this path of love, the love that I'm talking about, it operationalizes for the whole, not for our conceptions of what we think we want, which means that you cannot do love and still live the way that the world taught you to live. It becomes impossible. You cannot do love and go work for money. That's a tough one, right? Because even in your business, you might say, okay, well, I'm an entrepreneur, so I got to go ahead and get it how I live. But like, all right, I'm saying even then, this love thing, it starts to transform you in such a way that you can't even do that. It's okay if money is involved in your transactions, and you know what I'm saying, you're doing something that you love and someone's paying you for it, or you're doing something that you love and you've monetized that, you've product that, okay, fine. In fact, I would say that's the new purpose of money, is to reward you for doing what you love. You understand? But I'm saying when there is no love and you sitting here trying to do something just because you want to check, oh no, that's gone. That's gone. Why? Because that would be operationalizing for an individual, for what you think you want, as opposed to operationalizing for love. I'm telling you, bro, like I could not go to, I wouldn't have got on a plane and gone to Atlanta and just been running around getting rejected by people for a week trying to serve on the street if it were not for love. It didn't make any sense. It's not like it takes me a year to put out one season in terms of all the editing, all of everything that has to happen in order for, the show to actually feel like it's something that you want to, I guess it's something that I want to watch, something that I love to watch. It took me a year to put out something that I love to watch, you feel me? Regardless of what somebody else finds entertaining. But I'm telling you, like that's the biggest change for me specifically is, yes, while this love removes the trauma of the past, it also means that it removes all of the false beliefs about the present and the future. And so it becomes impossible to live in such a way as to do things to get things. I don't keep in touch with people because I might need them sometime, one day. If I'm talking with you, it's because I'm loving to speak with you in this moment. This show is a show that allows me to get a spiritual workout in, so to speak, to tap into the essence of love itself and communicate whatever it wants to communicate. But if I do it for any other reason, oh, the energy gets all clamored up, dude. It's a problem. And it can't last for long. You know what I'm saying? Like I cannot do the stuff that I know would move the needle in business or whatever the case is for me if it's outside of love, if it's just for the tiny me. Can't do it. Can't do it. Across relationships, I don't yeah, across health, across, like, I don't do workouts that I don't love doing. You feel me? Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Every single thing has to be love. We'll talk about the love hexagon on in future weeks. I want to start opening up the phone lines. But I will say that is Sublime is saying the world does look different when you have love. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sublime put them turtles in. Excellent, 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 excellent. Yeah, so that was the I will say that. I will say that when we're talking about this love thing, yes, we're talking about transformation. Yes, we're talking about all of its rewards, but it also means a part of its potency is love's ability to help us step away from who we used to be and at the same time who we thought we needed to be. Love helps us step away from who we used to be and at the same time allows us to transform who we think we need to be. these are starting to get to the place where it's unspeakable. So before I get to that place where where silence is the only option left, let me go ahead and open up these callers because or open up for tonight's evening chat. Um, by the way, if you've not taken the breakthrough challenge, please do so. The breakthrough challenge right now is where you watch one episode of Countdown to Breakthrough every single week, but I'm going to provide you with a workbook. You know what it is? Let's go ahead and get to it. We need to get to it kind of proper before we move on to tonight's caller. Let me go ahead and do it like this. If you're someone thinking you've done the affirmations, the therapy, the shadow work, but you still find yourself reacting the same way when life gets hard, you know you should be happy, you've grown a lot, but something still triggers you. You keep falling back into old emotions, old patterns, like something deep in you still runs the show. You want real freedom, not just moments of calm. Everyone online talks about letting go or raising your vibration, but no one gives you a clear step by step way to actually break these cycles that keep replaying in your life. You're tired of chasing healing. You want a breakthrough. If that sounds like you, it's because you haven't learned how to transform memory, emotion, and identity at the root level, leaving you controlled by your past instead of creating from peace. That's why I made the Breakthrough Challenge. The Breakthrough Challenge is your 6-week path to emotional freedom. Once a week, you watch one episode of Countdown to Breakthrough, complete one mini workbook exercise, and experience one transformation. On day 1, you'll break generational cycles. By week 6, you'll become unbreakable. Hit the link in the description to take the Breakthrough Challenge now and become a breakthrough believer for free. Take the challenge that heals your soul. Folks, the Breakthrough Challenge is one of those things that those pieces that allows me to take my art form and package it and give it to you in a way that allows for you to do a deep dive on self. And so I wanted to offer that to you, and I'm going to keep offering it to you until you do it because I believe that it is a powerful way to not just get something that's entertaining, but get something that's transformative. So, all right, folks, let's go ahead and hear from our caller for the evening. I'm about ready for this. Uh, by the way, if you ever want to be on the Breakthrough Live, just put a 1 in the chat and I'm going to send you 3 basic questions and then I'll just pull you on directly right onto the show. Okay, but for right now, let's go ahead and get to our caller for the evening. To speak, can you let people know your name and where you're from?
Yes. So, my name. Let me start by saying this. So, for anyone that doesn't know, I don't know if anyone out here is like me. When I mention my name, when I hear my name mentioned, I get PTSD. Reasons why we go by twin. So, my name is Kamar. Yes, well, yeah, I get a little PTSD of it. I don't even like I don't like my name. I don't like my name, last name, none of it. It's crazy. You're gonna see in a second. I need to heal. I really need to heal. One thing about me is that I've had a hard life. I've been alone my entire life. And I know it's crazy because I'm a twin, but we've been separated before. And even now, I'm 36 years old and I'm still very, very alone. And this world it's crazy. But one thing I know is that working with you, Dr. Shawn, is that love's the highest frequency. I need to heal. I can't heal. I don't know why. I'm hurting. I'm in pain. I can't shake it. I try. I think it's a generational curse. I don't know. I do my kits every day. I meditate every day. I go within. I just I can't heal. Not the way I know I'm supposed to, if that makes sense.
Mm. So let me just speak there, because it sounds like what I love about this is that you understand that there's enough self-awareness to know that healing is necessary. That's
Yes.
already a huge step. You're
Yeah.
already taking the meditation. You're already doing kits. You've already started. When you talk about being separated from your twin, which is Kabais. We had our conversation earlier. So when you talk about being separate and you talk about these fissures, these not just being separate from your twin, but it sounds like sort of being separate from yourself. Can you
Yeah.
explain, just give a little background as to what has your healing journey been like, and what do you think was the start and the cause of the initial sequence of pain? In other words, when did you're born perfect. So
Yeah.
when did the brokenness happen?
I would say the brokenness happened probably about I was 1 year old when I went into foster care. Probably a little before 1 year old. But I say 1 year old because that's where I was with my foster mom, who I call my mom, who is my mom. We were placed with her at 1 year old. So from 1 to 13, and there's some time in there that we have been placed with other foster homes as well. But from 1 to 13, my mom raised me. She raised me on a farm. But we were the only Black folk there. And my mom was brave enough to bring us into the neighborhood. And when I say neighborhood, I mean all farmland. So we were the first Blacks for many things. You know, first Blacks to be going to school, first Blacks to be, picked on. We were the first Blacks for many things. That was life for us. Farm life was life for us. When I came down to Eastern PA with the Black people, we got down there, they shunned us. They said, "Oh, you're too white." So it was crazy. Imagine me going to school here in Eastern Pennsylvania. I'm too white for the Black folk. I'm too Black for the white folk, and I'm too mixed for the mixed folk. Meanwhile, we're being molested, we're being beaten, tortured by our Black family. Something that never happened in foster care. So when I tell you, Dr. Shawn, I'm trying to heal, I mean it. I'm trying to heal. I'm trying to forget. Me and Twin got this new slogan. I'm sure he probably told you about it. It's 2025. I don't gotta forgive you because at the same time, when I forgive you, I let you have rent-free space in my head. And I've been doing that for far too long. So my new slogan is that I don't gotta forgive you and I don't gotta forgive you. I'm just gonna just not think about you. And so therefore you cease to exist. And I got that off your kit, by the way.
Mm.
You let me know that when I see these people rise up and dissipate, why would I even think about you after that? That's my thinking, at least. Why would I think about you after that when you did so much hurt to me? I just don't gotta think about you. So I don't gotta forgive you. I don't gotta forget. I'm just not gonna think about it. And I know a lot of people say don't do that because you're suppressing and you're building up and it's gonna hurt you later. And I get it. I have a lot of pain in my body, but I also have sickle cell. So I count that to that. You know, I just I wanna heal, Dr. Shawn. I wanna do the best for my family. I wanna move on from that pain. I wanna move on from that family, that generational curse. And I try and do that every day in my life. I don't speak to nobody, none of them. I don't have nothing to do with them. And for Black folk, they say, that's your family, that's your mom. You got to speak to them. That's your people. And I always my only get back is, hey, I'm a foster care kid. I have a family. Let me be. So if you could really help me. And I've always I'm open to the universe. I'm open to being who you are to be. I am that I am. I'm very open to that, but I'm very broken. I'm like, Mom, and I know I need to heal. I just don't know how. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm hearing you say I mean, there's so much here, twin. Like I'm hearing you say that, you were in this sort of idyllic circumstance with on the farm.
Yeah.
Then you switch to now you're with your biological parents, and what is supposed to feel like home actually feels like separation. And not only that, but that there's abuse happening in the home, there's physical and psychological hurt, and it's in your mind. I'm watching how you've adapted to that, which is to say, okay, well, if life can dish me out and deal out the pain, right, then I can absorb that.
Exactly.
The problem is that as I'm hearing you say that, I'm also seeing and feeling and experiencing that the pain that you're saying you've absorbed has not been dissolved. It's actually coming out in the form of the tears. It's actually coming out in the form of our conversation when you're telling me this, that I can feel it. I can feel that it's still in there. So it has been absorbed and held on to, as opposed to transmuted, transformed, alchemized
For years.
into a superior energy. And the thing is that what I'm always interested in is making sure that you have the tools, and I know you have the tools already, but that you also have the understanding to say, yes, I do need to. I would prefer. This is the path that I choose is the one of transmutation. When I say transmutation, I mean taking that hurt, all that stuff that stacks and it compounds like an investment. It compounds over time in your what's called an emotional pain body. It's just like an energetic body of pain that is seeping through your nerves and neurons, and it can be triggered by any one particular event. It could be triggered by somebody who just looks like the people who were abusive to you when you switched into your biological relative's home. It can be triggered by anything. It can be triggered by somebody who just sounds like.
Can I tell you that? Can I tell you something? It's
Please.
Triggered every day just because I wake up here in Eastern PA every day. Let me take you back real quick. So when I was back in that home, I was in high school. I met my wife. We fell in love rather quickly. Then my guardian, my uncle at the time, his name is Lance. He found out I was dating my wife, and he literally beat the crap out of me. I mean, I've had some beatings, but he literally beat the crap out of me because I had been not really staying after school, but kissing on my girl and missing the bus, so I had to either run home or miss the bus. Yeah, I got a whooping. I can't even call it a whooping. I got tortured that day, and he told me that Books was my girlfriend, and the next day I go to school, I'm gonna tell my girl that I can't be with her no more. That Books are my girlfriend. That's just what I did. I was 15 years old. I was so beaten, I bruised all over. So I told my boy, hey man, just tell her that I can't be with her no more. And that's crazy. My wife doesn't even remember that. She just remembers that she went to Mexico for the summer, and we just didn't speak after that. But Dexter, I left out to Arizona, and then I ended up coming back for my wife at 25. And part of me says I probably shouldn't have done that because the person that being tortured us lives less than a mile, but across town. You know what I mean? So I can literally drive past that neighborhood where I was beaten, tortured every day if I wanted to, but I still live in the city. So it rags on my mind every day. And, a lot of people don't realize that is why we are literally hermits in our own city, because I don't want to go out. I don't want to run into anybody. It's enough just being here in a city called Eastern PA.
Those triggers, they exist. You're in an environment where the triggers are consistent, they're constant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, the thing that I want to do is begin to start identifying some of the core beliefs. One of the most important things that came out of the conversation that we have to go back to is this notion of, I will somehow, I don't want to forgive you, but I can use, maybe a zero gravity technique or sort of a variation of it in order to, kind of get you out of my mind and not have to think about you. Right. And therefore, because you don't exist to me, there's nothing to forgive. Right. To me, and I think you already caught onto it, which is that to me, that suggests more of a suppression, right? Or a repression. I'm interested in transformation. I'm interested in the situation where you can stay in PA or you can leave, but the triggers no longer mean what they used to. And right now you've got a subtle belief that says, I can move on even if I don't forgive.
Yes. Yes.
I can move on. I can forget about a person. That way I don't have to forgive. And what we want to do is say, hold on. I know that the God in you is strong enough to forgive. And not only that, strong enough to love enough to allow for this situation, this past history, to be utilized and reconfigured into light. And so that's where I want to start our journey today, because I don't think this needs to take time, but it does need us to identify the core belief here, or one of the core beliefs, which is that somehow you can forget, and somehow the energy that of all that history, all of that pain, all of that trauma that lives in the body just goes away, because we don't want to necessarily think about that situation. The problem is that your very environment will not allow you to forget. You can drive past that neighborhood and see what's going on. You can drive past, you can see in your children's face the image of their ancestors, right? The same people who were doing all this stuff. Your son might look at you one way and you'd be like, oh, that reminds me of my uncle. Oh, that reminds me of. And so what we're going to do is deal with the very meaning that's being assigned to your own memories. Our actual objective today is to be courageous and face the past. Some people might say, well, how come you don't just move from PA? Why don't you just go and move to another state? And then you're no longer around the triggers and the environments. But what I'm saying is it makes no difference.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no difference where you go. The point is that you can never run away from yourself.
Right.
And so what's more profound for me, for you, for this lifetime and the next, is that you're accessing this real power to take and face. It takes that courage, but to take and face all of those memories, which memories is just energy, to face that energy and elevate it to a higher frequency. The clinical psychologist would say we're going to take the memory and assign a different meaning to it. For this exercise, we're going to go back into the memories of childhood. I'm going to say the things as I see them, because I'm going with you. And because you brought up the zero gravity technique, I'm seeing you using the zero gravity technique in order to push, to not have to forget, or rather to forget something. Today, we're going to use the zero gravity technique for its appropriate use.
Got his little nephew for me. Say hi, everyone. Say hi.
Yo, look at, that's the newborn?
That's the newborn.
Yo, was she about 6? But she looked like she about 6 months.
Max is 9 months now.
Parenthood is a spiritual practice, right? And so when you have these children come through, and you can feel this love. Maximus is 9 months. He don't know your name. He don't know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows who you are, of course, but he doesn't know the full. He doesn't know your story.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. He's still the most important person in your life. Right. And so it's like that love. Well, we're about to do something special with it. So I need you to tell me that you can feel that love for Maximus because and for both your boys, I need you to be able to tell me that you can feel that love because watch how we use that.
Yeah, I can.
I want you to keep that love in mind because we're going to use it. So this is going to be zero gravity plus something else. I cannot stress for you how important this is because when your children grow up, they become business people, they become whoever they're going to become. They may come to you with some issues. And it is the valuable elder who can understand how to take somebody who is in distress. And you're an empath, so you can feel when someone's in distress. And before they leave the room, transmute their distress into a higher frequency, into love and light. That's a powerful wizard of sorts, a magician of sorts. World needs more of those. And that's what you're going to be called upon in your lifetime to be.
I am ready.
Here we go. Right now, I want you to close your eyes. Travel back through time. Back across town. And put yourself back into the very moment when you feel the energy shift. When you can feel your biological relatives, your uncle, your dad, your biological mother, you can feel when their anger is just about to be converted into violence. Go back to the very, very worst moment. You must be brave. I want you to see everything. Hide nothing from yourself. The way the ceiling hung so close to your head. The color of the carpet. But most importantly, notice the people. Go back to that terrible shift in energy. When you can feel rage filling the air. You can feel anger filling the air. And you can feel violence filling the air, the atmosphere. See the entire picture in your mind's eye. See the faces and recall the emotions that you were feeling in that moment. The emotions that get you to say, God, why am I here? Why is this happening to me? How could they do this to me? I thought they loved me. Feel those emotions as you're looking back into the face of this perpetrator, the one who abused. Feel that sense of powerlessness, what it's like to want to do something, but you can't. And so you make the decision to just take everything that they've got. Because at least you have control over that decision. And now with the situation fully recalled, at this point, I want you to imagine that there is a little dial available to you inside of the memory. It pops up just near your hand and you can touch it. Spin the dial all the way to the right and every single thing in your memory will begin to levitate. which means that when you spin this dial to the right, the furniture, the bed, the people will all begin to float weightless like balloons. But something else also will happen. When you spin this dial to the right, the energy of violence, the energy of aggression will also begin to float up toward the ceiling while you alone remain grounded. Turn that dial to the right now. See the furniture begin to lift effortlessly off the ground. See your abuser begin to lift effortlessly off the ground. The very energy of violence begins to float high above your head, but you alone remain rooted. Even when the yelling continues, I want you to see the vibrations come out of the mouth, and those two rise up into the air while you alone remain rooted. You can sense most easily that divine love that you have for your sons in your chest right now. I want you to see that divine love as a ball of white light circulating in your chest. Feel it. This is the love of your sons. And as you stare up inside of this memory, as you're staring up at this abuser, the divine love that you have for your sons, I imagine that as a white light that is now shining, penetrating, and entering into the abuser, into the furniture, even into the energy and emotions that were once negative. Every single thing that is floating above you is going to be blessed by this white light of divine love. Yes, this love can go there. And when you see this love enter into every single thing that's floating above you, the abuser, the furniture, I want you to see them shine with love. Go. That white light emanates from your chest. It explodes through the room, and every single thing above you that was once so heavy is now floating and being infused with love. Watch the furniture radiate, become radiant with the white light of love sparkling through it. Watch the energy that was once violent become itself loving. Love infuses it and turns it into itself. Watch this love enter into the chest of your abuser, which is really just an aspect of yourself. And watch this love enter into their chest and remove all that is not itself. The love enters into their chest. It washes away all of the darkness until their very inner body is glowing with this radiant white light of love. The grimace that was once there erases, and their face falls into calm. And then their face falls into gratitude. They look down and they see you. And I want you to see them saying, thank you. They say, thank you for healing me. Thank you for doing what I could not do for myself. See now that that white, radiant glow of love light that you once placed in them is now returning back to you. But this time, it's shared, filling the entire room with a radiant white light. It spreads out into the entire home, not just the entire home, the entire block, not just the entire block. It stretches out and in a flash, takes the entire city. The city is now love. The city is now radiant with the white light of love, and you know that because you put it there. And we all say thank you. That white light of love trails back to the present moment. And you can feel it right now. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Yes. My question is, what is the feeling inside of your body? Not to the thoughts, but to the feeling. What does it feel like for you now?
A little bit like relief. A little bit like weights still there, like an anchor, but the tension's off. I can't really explain it. It's just like you ever felt like you're holding the world up and now today just for a minute you ain't gotta hold it. That's literally how I feel right now. That's how I feel. I ain't gotta hold it up right now. Someone's holding it for me. That's how I feel.
We say quickly, what's becoming one of my favorite verses in the Bible is 1 John 4:16, which says that God is love, and that whosoever abides in love abides with God. And so if we take that seriously and we say, oh, wait, this energy that I'm feeling, this energy of love, yeah, because I've given it to love, that's the same thing as giving it to God. And you can let go of that weight because God's hands are bigger. You know, you notice that we used the zero gravity technique to take what was heavy and we floated it above, but then we sent love into every single item, every single artifact, because every single thing in that memory is a trigger. And so what we've done is said, okay, if it's going to be a trigger, let it be a trigger of love. In other words, you see the furniture, you see the TV, you see all that stuff, but you've now taken this higher form of energy and you've infused it into all of those things. Which means that when you go back to that memory, don't think about the TV. Think about what the TV looks like when it was infused with that radiant light of love. Don't think about this person, you know, doing X, Y, or Z. Think about what they look like when they were smiling, saying thank you, infused with this radiant light of love. Because whoever that individual is, you're no longer talking to a person. Now you're talking to their higher self. And their higher self can only respond to you in love. It only speaks love. It don't speak another language. It only speaks love. So, man, have a blessed day, and we will be talking very soon here.
Thank you, Dr. Shawn. Absolutely. You have a blessed day as well. Thank you so much.
Okay. Twin, shout out to you for putting that work in. Absolutely. Shout out to you for putting that work in. Folks, do you see what we did? Remember, our conversation tonight is in regard to using love in order to heal the past. We've talked about the principle, the pattern, and the path. The principle is that love is the original nature of the soul. Behold the soul, it is that circle. You understand? No beginning, no ending, it is eternal. However, the pattern where we run into issues is that once that eternal whole nature gets split, it gets bifurcated. Someone comes along and starts to believe that they are a me and that everything else is a not me, is a non me, is something else external. That separation creates a need for protection. That's the pattern. And that need for protection, based on that separation, causes us to forget love. That's the pattern. Remember the path, and you just got to see it. You just got to see it. that the path is to retrain the spirit, retrain the mind, retrain the attention to see love everywhere. And so, what Twin was just able to do with his own vulnerability, with his own capacity to step forward and do the work on camera, you're able to see him use a conscious transformation technology. These are called kits. One of them is called the zero gravity technique. We did a zero gravity technique plus, a zero gravity plus tonight, which is where we lifted everything that was in this negative memory and then we infused it with the light of love. Are you understanding what's happening? If everything in Twin's environment was formerly a trigger that reminded him of this negative trauma, reminded him of this negative past, what does it mean then? If we go into those very memories and impregnate every single component of those memories with this light of love, oh, that would fundamentally change the relationship that those images stored in Twin's body mind have on his life. It changes the relationship that Twin has with his memories. Are you seeing the profundity of this? We're changing the relationship that Twin has with his memories by accessing this divine light and actually directing it into the memories themselves. Because now it's no longer a person remembering this abuser. Now it's a person remembering a person from their past, a member of their family from their past, but that person is now infused with love. The relationship to the memory changes. The relationship to the past changes. You can immediately sense a psychosomatic, or we could just call an energetic change in Twin. Once that happens, however slight, however meaningful, however small the difference, or large, you can feel that shift. You can sense that, oh, okay, something has happened here. That if there is still separation, that it is being absorbed into a larger, infinite whole. And the light of that wholeness, what we just call love, the light of that love is now replacing the fundamental sense of separation. And Twin is coming back to a place where he recognizes that, oh, wait, these memories, this past, the meanings that are being assigned to these environments, they exist within me, and therefore I can take spiritual responsibility. I can take ownership over them, infuse them with love, and now they're no longer triggers of pain. They trigger instead the reflection of God. Why? Because they're impregnated with God's energy. Why? Because you put that love inside of each of the elements in that memory until it absorbs not just that memory, but the street, not just the street, but the block, not just the block, but the town, not just the town, but the entire city. It absorbs, it spreads and expands to the point where the formerly negative relationships that were established with the surrounding environment are reconfigured. They're imbued with a new meaning. And that new meaning is tied directly with the foundational fabric of reality, which means that your frequency has no choice but to go up. Those memories can't hold on to you in the same way. They can't keep you captive in the same way. And the more that you practice feeling this love, shout out to Dr. Joe, for reminding us earlier in the show that love must be practiced. You must practice feeling this love. The more that you practice it, the deeper its benefits. See, this episode is about being able to go back and heal trauma, the trauma of the past with love. But the problem is that nobody gives us a step-by-step system for doing so until tonight, when we're seeing exactly how to go back, interrogate those memories, sit with those memories, be brave enough to sit with the actual images that otherwise would haunt you, and be brave enough to open your heart and allow the frequency of something much greater to flow through you and imbue, impregnate those memories with a new meaning. To change what the past means to you in an instant. All the other benefits that come, that's for another show. This show is just about, hey, transforming the path with a systematic approach to energy usage, to love access. Now, you might be saying, Sublime is saying, I was thinking about my childhood trauma as well and trying to infuse it. Absolutely. That's the way that I want you to use this moment. Yes, it's Twin, but Twin is offering his story, his practice as a reflection to your own. That's what's so brilliant about agreeing to be on the Breakthrough Live. He is practicing in real time for you so that you can put yourself back into your own memories and apply the exact same techniques. Like I told you at the beginning of the show, you would see exactly how this works. That the pain that caused you to shut down from love becomes the portal that reopens your pathway to love. You understand? Now you're seeing it in real time. Shout out to Twin. This is the power of great people being willing to be vulnerable in public. That's how we can get to these powerful breakthroughs. Where somebody at home is like, dang, I never thought of love as being a utility. Being a utility that's free. The most powerful energy source in existence. And the only thing that it cost is everything you thought you were. It cost your old self. But who you become when you access this love is a true self. And so you heard Twin, he says like, man, it's like for a moment, I don't have to hold on to that anymore. Somebody else is carrying it. But like I told you, 1 John 4:16, whosoever abides in love abides with God. So we understand who's actually holding the weight of that past now. So that's the power here, is that we're saying that when you can access love as this utility, it changes how you can approach the past. You don't need to try and do it all at one time, although it can be done. But the very habit of practicing coming back into this feeling of love, it is the final frontier. It changes everything. Every human relationship. What does it mean when we no longer are getting into marriages or relationships or partnerships trying to prove something to somebody, trying to show them, trying to run away from a past when we can access this universal force, this love, we can return to wholeness. And now all of a sudden, we can actually move forward. We're not thinking about trying to get back at somebody else or be something in order to prove that we can be. We're just on to God's mission, God's will. We're just on to unfolding true purpose. If you don't like any of those terms, then we're just on to living the life we enjoy the most. That's the power. It's one of those things where a lot of times w- we can get into something called spiritual bypassing, and I'm gonna do a show about this. Like, we can get into something called spiritual bypassing. If you heard Twin at the beginning of that conversation, he was like, "Yo, I'm on this thing where, you know what I'm saying, I ain't gotta forgive you, champ. I ain't gotta do." And what can happen is everybody has done that before, where we try and use a technique in order to get out of doing the work that is actually required in order to actually we want to use a technique in order to avoid opening our hearts. Everybody's been there, not just Twin. This is called, literally, it's a term for it. It's called spiritual bypassing, where you are trying to use meditation in order to avoid dealing with psycho emotional trauma, dealing with the past. What I'm saying is that in transcendent psychology, we talk about conscious transformation technologies. What if we could use these technologies to not only develop spiritually, but more, at least as importantly, is to be able to completely change our quality of experience while we walk the earth, to completely change our emotional life while we walk the planet, in addition to being a light for others, in addition to being a reflection of God on the planet, in addition to following our highest purpose. Like, wouldn't that be, wow, be something? And Twin is showing you what that something is. He just showed you what that is, what that looks like. When you take those first steps, that's why I have to say thank you for coming on the Breakthrough Live, because truly this is how this happens. This is how this healing happens. If you're understanding that, if you're watching this alone, what I want you to do is bring somebody with you next week, because this is how we can expand this circle of healing. Who you know don't need this? Who you know don't need this? It's one of those things where I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch it back. I, I don't know anybody who don't need this, who doesn't at least need the reminder, however long you've been on your journey. And so being able to have this moment where not only are we vulnerable, but we can also bring somebody who may have never had a chance to hear anything about any of this, and now they do because of you. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, Sublime. I'm trying to see your full comment. I'm trying to see this full thing. Cause you see, I actually have some regards. So let me get at what you're saying, Sublime. I can't see the full comment because of how my screen is, doing the thing. But I'm hearing you say that you were practicing, you were trying, and then new thoughts started coming up. Non-helpful thoughts started coming up as you're doing the exercise. That's at least what I'm getting. I'm getting like half the sentence is cut off, but that's what I'm getting from it. And you know what? Were that the case, you're not alone. You wouldn't be alone in that. That's why what the exercise that Twin and I just did, very incredible, very helpful. I encourage you to watch it back again if you feel that you are at that stage where such an activity, such an exercise is easy for you to do. If you're ready for it, in other words. Outside of that, I got something better. Or I got something for you. Because for real, like I opened this show with you would be surprised at how many people find it difficult to summon love on command. To just get the feeling of love on command. The other way of saying that is how many people are so under practiced when it comes to actually practicing love that the moment almost has to come and find them as opposed to them being able to just step into the frequency, just step into the state of love. So what's the issue? Well, the biggest issue is that getting to the emotional experience of love is step 2. It's actually step 2. Do I need to show y'all the book? I was just writing a chapter on this. Do I need to show y'all the book? Not spiritual responsibility, but I'm talking about the book that I'm putting together right now. Um, oh, we already getting late. Okay, we'll do that another time. It's step 2. Step 1 is getting to the unified field of awareness. See, love is 2 things. I want you to think of it in 2 ways. The second position is the energetic experience, the emotional experience. You can feel it. Oh my gosh, I'm just welling up with this love. That's important. But in order to even get there, you need the first position, which is the mental position. I need to be able to change my sense of perception such that I end that sense of separation. I end the duality. You may have heard of non-duality before, which is where people just say, okay, not two. Reality is not two, it's one. But we have to come to that in our clear seeing, clear perception. Just talking about it is intellectual, and that's fine, but that has an expiration date, and it's ultimately the intellect is fine. It helps us communicate ideas, but it is not sufficient for transformation. So I got something else for you. The answer for the person who's thinking, I can't get to that energetic experience. I'm just not there yet. No problem. No problem. I got something else for you. What is that thing? Well, it's why I always show y'all. Look, we start with supreme awareness. Remember, in Transcendent Psychology, which is detailed in this book, Spiritual Responsibility, but the point is that we always start with step 1, supreme awareness, and then we can make everything else happen. And then we can make everything else happen. So that's where we're going tonight. That's where we're going tonight. We're going to that supreme awareness because we have to be able to have that mental experience before we can have the emotional experience. In other words, I have to be able to actually see oneness before I can feel oneness on command. Now, obviously, everybody has those moments where it just kind of hits you and you're like, oh man, I just feel this love or whatever, but that's not reliable. It's fine if it's the real deal, but it's not reliable because people aren't practiced in going back to that place emotionally. Right? People, a lot of times people don't even recognize when they are having that emotional experience in the first place. But you get it every time you look into your children's eyes, assuming your children are well behaved, and you know what I'm saying? Like, but there's these moments when you look into your kids' eyes, and it's just like, oh my God, I would do anything for this little person. Or some of your kids may be older. You dig what I'm saying? And so, but to be able to recognize that that is the emotional experience, you can do that when you're well rehearsed in it. It becomes familiar. It becomes like, oh yes, I can see this love is really just the fragrance of God. I can feel it. But I can feel it and I can recognize it because I'm so habituated in it. I've already lived in it for so long. So if love is the end of separation, then we need to arrive at the mental position that allows us to see the end of that separation. There's no better way to do this than by going back to awareness. So that's exactly what we're about to do. Okay, so here's Sublime. Shout out to Felicity for texting me. She says, I actually had suppressed it, but as I was trying to infuse it, the thought of why kept coming into my mind. Why did my mom beat me so bad? I don't know. Okay, okay, Sublime, that's real. That's real. So again, it's that same idea of, and the Sublime, we need to get you on the show. On the Breakthrough Live for real. But just for tonight as we close, because I want this to help you before we get up out of here. Like, it's that idea still of the emotional experience can get clouded too quickly by external mental thoughts if we have not established the first position first. The first position, the mental position, supreme awareness. I'm calling it mental, not because it's intellectual, but because I want you to experience your world. How you see your world must change. Where the separation between your body and the external environment disappears. We want to make sure that we're coming to the place that knows no limitations, that knows no boundaries. And so that first position is actually consciousness. In the end, consciousness, awareness, love, God, all the same thing. What I'm suggesting for you is that this love thing, the reason I call it love, the reason, instead of me just saying supreme awareness and consciousness, I could have just stayed with the first book with that. But the reason I call it love, the great epiphany, was that once you can get to that second position, that emotional, energetic experience, now you can use that energy in order to transform the meaning and relationships that you've formally established in the past, just like we saw with Twin tonight. That's a more advanced stage. We don't need to be there at just this moment. We're going to the first stage. So here we go. Take a deep breath with me. Because healing begins when we are aware. I want to take you to an awareness conscious transformation technology, an awareness kit. Anyone can do this. Take another deep breath with me. Here we go. Close your eyes. And at this time, simply ask yourself the question, am I aware? Notice where you have to go to find out. Am I aware? Notice that the answer is always yes. Become aware of the blackness behind your eyes. And notice that it goes on forever. If you had a little hand, an imaginary hand that you could summon and send into the blackness behind your eyes, that little hand would move forever. Simply become aware of the blackness behind your eyes. This requires no strain. You are simply aware. Imagine that this blackness covers the entire cosmos. That all universes are included in it. You do not need to look for anything right now. Simply notice that you are aware. And simply notice that even this infinite blackness could not exist without your awareness. In fact, nothing in reality could exist without your awareness. Which means that all of reality exists within your awareness. The awareness that sees and watches the blackness behind your eyes is the exact same awareness that sees and watches the blackness behind my eyes now. Your awareness, this awareness, is the same awareness that sees and watches the blackness behind all eyes. Feel this expansiveness as all of reality exists in awareness. Ask yourself, am I aware? See that the answer is always yes. Your past exists in awareness. All past exist in awareness, which means you are bigger than any past that has ever happened. Because the past comes and goes, but you are awareness, simply aware right here and now. Ask yourself the question, am I aware? The past is already gone, but see that you are aware now, infinitely aware, just by being you. Am I aware? See that the answer is always yes. Simply abide in this infinity, this infinite awareness, where all of reality exists, and love will find you there. Indeed, it already has. Take one deep breath with me. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. I encourage you to do that simple exercise nightly. That simple kit is all that's required in order to begin to sense the unity of experience and to allow the fruit of love to blossom within. Because in the end, if fear is our only enemy, then we bring heaven to earth when we transform our minds. I'm Dr. Shawn, and we were not sent to impress our people. We were sent to transform our people into a light for the world. For God's universe opens to all who believe in breakthrough.